All right, welcome back to our feature matches. We're on week one of Brothers War League. This is our second feature match of the night. Uh, we have Nick here, Nick S, against Tony G, who Justin's going to be looking at his hand. Um, so, what's what's Tony's deck looking like here in week one?
Looking like some sort of Esper build. I did see that he has a Boulder Branch Golem, just as just I guess more high end, but it's also
Yep.
just a solid card.
Yeah, so he might have played a match in the last couple hours, but when I looked at the standings this afternoon, he actually had not played yet. So this might be his first, or probably could be second match of the league. So he's starting off with the feature match here, and looks like he's got a reasonable start. Nick's got a bit of a slow hand. He kept a Thopter Architect, which is a 4-drop, Disciples of Gix, which is a 6-drop, uh, and lands. And since then, he's drawn only things that cost 6 and up, and the lands. So this, we'll see if this is going to be too slow or not. But we'll see. We'll see what's happening here. So you said Tony at least he has a 7-drop in his hand. We know of.
Well, he put it on the bottom.
Okay, put it on the bottom, sure.
So now he's just gonna play a nice Precursor Golem
Oy,
here.
yeah, and Nick does not have anything. Okay, so he has an epic confrontation, but that actually doesn't work because you need to target one
Two
golem
things.
only, an epic
Yep.
confrontation. So he can. What he can do is he can get the precursor golem itself off the board, and then eventually just block and deal with the other three threes. That is
Yeah.
an option he has. That's kind of his only option. I mean, he could do that and play the Maze Mind Tome that he's drawn. The rest of his hand is expensive, so it's probably worth it to get the precursor golem off the board. Um, yeah, so he's decided that he doesn't want to deal with the potential of like a pump spell that hits all of them, or like a protection spell that hits all of them. So
Yeah. I mean, Precursor Golem is kind of the card that kind of goes both ways. It's kind of easy to remove if you have one spell, but it's also just like can generate your opponent a lot of value if they have one pump spell.
yeah, so on a stalled board in a draft I was doing, I actually cast Moment of Defiance, targeting my opponent's precursor golem, and I was able to draw 3 cards for 2 and a black. So it was a stalled board, and nobody was making any advances towards attacking, making big attacks. So I just said, look, I could just cash this spell in for for 3 cards and help me win. But
I mean, the best outcome I've seen with that card is that when I faced off against it and I used Raise to the Ground, I killed all of it and I drew 2 cards.
oh, we get to draw 2 cards. Yeah. There's
Like he
also
killed.
there's Excavation Explosion, which will make you 3 Power Stones. But yeah. So here's the Disciples of Gix. Let's see if he has any unearthed things he wants to throw in the graveyard. Could be Perennial Behemoth, Scrapwork Cohort, Scrapwork Rager. So,
Yeah,
as
Disciple
long
of
as
Gix
long as he
very
lives
strong.
long enough to tell the tale, he'll get to live. But he's one removal spell away from disaster, or even just any non-creature spell, and he's dead.
Oh,
Yeah,
there we go.
it could have been any non-creature spell based on the Wing Commando getting a trigger here. So just a little bit too slow of a start here. His hand was expensive and he didn't draw cheap spells. When you keep an expensive hand, you just have to hope to draw cheap spells, and he has a lot of things to do in the early game. Um, Looking at his deck, he's 3 colors. Doesn't appear to really have a splash. It's just green. There's more green and black than there is white, but there's a lot of all of them. Uh, so what's Tony's deck looking like here?
It's I guess I said it before. It's an Esper build
Yep.
with like average curve. Has some twos, has some threes. Just all around the curve has stuff to play. More on the high end because that's what this set tends to be. You have a lot more high end
Yeah.
than low end.
So we have a little side story to go with this match because in the Set Wars League, Nick was a teammate of mine on the Perfect Party, which was a team centered around our love of cats. And Tony joined Cody Race's team, which was dogs. So you know the eternal battle between the two house pets rages on even long after Set Wars. Here, they're fighting. All right, so much better hand for Nick. He's gonna have early plays here. Okay, Levitating Statue. Does he have some non-creatures in his hand to pump that?
Not at the moment. He has a 4 drop in the scrap charge Colossus, and the rest are options.
All right.
Notably, he's also missing black, so if he ever draws a black card, he's not going to be the first to be cast.
Right. Yeah, you cut out a bit there, but I caught most of it. Um, one card to look out for with the Levitating Statue, if you haven't come across it yet in a draft, is the Mightstone's animation, which instantly turns it into a 5/5 flying and draws you a card.
Oh, that's yeah, that's pretty
And it's
gross.
permanently a flyer that just gets a counter every time you cast a non-creature. So,
Oh, that is savage.
and
Okay, well,
off it
Loran's
goes.
gonna come down.
Yeah, Loran of the third path here. This, Rex Sage for the new era. You have to put other text on it in order to have it be be a card you print nowadays. Destroys an artifact or gem, and then later he can use it to have both players draw cards. So, very interesting design on that card. But yeah, he's playing rares, so he's playing cheap
And
rares that are affecting the board.
here
Um,
might come down the Urza Silex.
okay, yeah, that'll even things up. So
He,
interesting that he's playing a Maze Mind Tome into this Silex.
I think he's just trying to draw cards now, which
Yeah,
I find respectable because you see a board wipe on the other side of the field, so you just might as well take this opportunity to stock up on cards.
yeah, I agree.
I would kind of liked if Tony just held it until he got to 7 lands and then just like played and insta popped it.
Yeah, probably better as a surprise. And they're both at 20. Neither player's under pressure here. They're not going to be attacking going on for a while. All right, he's playing a sprite into this board wipe, so a little bit of a curious one there.
He might just use the Silex now. Like it just looks very valuable right now.
Yeah, so
Eh,
Nick does have some action behind here with Emergency Weld to get back one of the destroyed permanents. It gets back a creature or an artifact, so if he did want to get back the
Oh,
Maze Mind, he could. He has a Goring Warplow to cast once he gets another land, and he has a Gothian Opportunist. So, he's got some reasonable plays. Nothing spectacular, but he'll survive this.
I kind of expected Urza Silex to just be exile all permanents, but it's destroys is a lot more meaningful in this set where you can just recur and there's a lot of unearth.
So he can now play his Warplow. So he doesn't have black mana, but he has enough to just cast it as a 5/4. So his Emergency Weld is not going to be cast until he gets black. Again, sort of the issue of these three-color decks, but I think the issues of three-color decks, like I was mentioning in the first match, are a little bit mitigated by all the colorless cards you can put in your deck. So you can still
Yes,
do quite a lot while you're waiting on your third color. I think both players are waiting on their third color here.
yes, but Tony seems to be a little less affected by it, as his only real reason to have black right now is to unearth a scrapwork rager that's in his hand.
Yeah, so Nick, he would like a black so he can cast his Emergency Weld, get something back, and probably be able to cast it right away. He'll cast an Argothian Opportunist in the meantime, unless he draws something better.
Yep. Totally reasonable. Tony has kept a temporal anchor on top of his deck,
Oh,
so
that's
another
smart.
just another way to get more card advantage.
Yeah, that might put him over the edge here with Nick not having much to do. He drew about the worst card he could draw, which is a non-swamp land in his
So
hands.
if I get this correctly, the temporal anchor says whenever you would scry a card to the bottom, you would take the bottom card and you may cast it.
You exile it instead, and you can cast it for as long as I think for as long as the anchor is in play.
Okay, so
So it's, it's
you
it's not even that turn. It's not cast until end of turn. It's not a red. It's
okay,
not a
so
red effect. It's just as long as you have the anchor, I think you have access to any of those cards that you've exiled. So it's just
so if I
basically you always just put the cards on the bottom.
okay, so you put a card on the bottom. So the first card you put on the bottom would actually just get the bottom of the card of your deck, and then you would know what's on the bottom of the deck because you scried everything to the bottom.
Oh, I thought it just exiles whatever cards that you would put to the bottom.
I have
Uh,
never seen this card in
Whenever
action,
you put
so
one or more
I am
cards, it says whenever you put one or more cards on the bottom while scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom. So it's just whatever you would scry goes to exile. So
okay.
basically, at
Okay.
the beginning of his upkeep, what he scries to, it's just a strange way of saying you just get to exile the top two cards of your library and cast them. Like
I
it's a very
guess.
strange way to say that. But if you have other cards that scry, you then get the bonus from that on top as well. But
Okay, yeah,
you're
that makes
not
sense.
really scrying on your turn. You're just exiling the top two always. You're always saying bottom and then exiling them because like why wouldn't you?
All right, so this soul partition will make this temporal anchor even harder.
Yeah. Unless you have a card that needs to be cast from the hand specifically, uh, which is pretty rare, yeah, you would always just exile the cards. But he's mounting an attack here. He's gonna get in for 9. And again, Nick is just trying planes here, so not the worst things he could be finding. And Tony's got all sorts of action here, even if it will be a minute before his anchor is back online. All right, so our Gideon Avenger, kind of a dorky slow card, but you know, it's kind of what he needs here.
It's good for its flexibility.
Yeah, it doesn't block the 6/6, unfortunately, but the 6/6 is gonna require half of Tony's current mana in order to untap.
Well, arguing Avenger could get Death Touch. It's like a trade.
Oh, it gets Death Touch, Flying,
Haste or
Haste,
Vigilance,
Vigilance.
but it's gonna get disenchanted.
So not Lifelink.
No. Lifelink, as we know, is a bit too good as a mechanic, and just put on only a select few cards.
Yeah, like just as an aside, I always thought, well, here's the swamp. I always thought, like what's the best, like, what we say vanilla mechanic, and like for a long time it's been flying. I think Lifelink is close to surpassing it. Flying is just like it's obnoxious. Like your opponent
If
plays
you
a
think
lifelink
of,
creature and they get in 2 hits, and you're like, geez, like I now have to deal like that much more damage to them. Like, and all they did was just cast this creature and put it on the stack. Like, yikes. Yeah, so the Soul Guide Lantern in play was just spelled the end here. So the
yeah,
anchor was most likely going to come down, and Nick had only lands in hand. So unfortunate
probably
end
could handle,
to
yeah,
that
couldn't handle the
match.
value.
Congratulations to Tony taking down uh, the feature match here, and we'll be back a little bit later for match number 3 of the evening.